Thanks to the support as a channel member, Chris Graves. Well, my Barcelona rebuild has been rudely interrupted by Real Madrid turning up and expecting I need to play a football match before I finish doing all of my signings, which isn't ideal. Hello, welcome to Club 4, Part 2 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, I am going to show you through the rebuild so far, sort of a transfer special, but also we're going to have to play Real Madrid in my first ever game in charge of Barcelona. If you didn't really register this yesterday when I was talking about it, our start to life in La Liga is quite tough. We play Real Madrid up first. We're then away against Atletico Madrid and at home against Athletic Bilbao, who were, that is Athletic Bilbao, isn't it? Athletic Bilbao, who were last season's La Liga champions. That is 3 very tough games to start life in charge of Barcelona, especially when I've only been here a month and my shortlists and scouting didn't really come with me. So what I expected to be a hitting the ground running, doing loads of transfers straight away situation has been more of a try and rebuild the off the pitch coaching and scouting situation, get some scouting up and running, clear out a bunch of deadwood, and only in the last week or so have I really started making any signings. I didn't realise actually the transfer window here in Spain actually shuts before the end of August as well, so we've only got a week of transfer window left, and we've still got quite a lot of money to spend. As you can see, £62 million of transfer budget left to spend, and a lot of spare wage budget as well. I mean, if we were to buy, let's say, 1 or 2 players. I mean, in fact, they're not actually letting me turn any more wage budget into transfer budget, which is weird. They won't allow me to increase my transfer budget as they feel it's high enough already. I'll be the judge of that. Although I have been spending only on 1 Preston player, and it was one that we needed. Dennis Simon has joined up with me. I've signed Dennis Simon for the 2nd summer in a row, but we'll come back to the players that I've signed in a moment. First, we'll have a quick run through everybody we've moved on, because it's a bit of a mixture between older players who didn't want to be here. Frank Kessie going to Paris Saint-Germain, big example of that. He was unhappy when I arrived, so we've just moved him on straight away. Ousmane Dembele was missing France, wanting to go back to Rennes, so we've let him go in a cut price deal to return him to France. And then the rest of it is very similar to the job I did at Spurs when I first arrived, and that is getting rid of a lot of these young players who are just cluttering the place up but are never really going to be good enough to play for us. This guy has gone to Alaves. This guy has gone to Leipzig. These are all like 3-star potential 22, 23-year-olds. Okay, that guy's 30. No idea what business he had being at Barcelona. These 3 have all gone to Strasbourg. A 22-year-old right back, a 22-year-old striker, and a 31-year-old central midfielder. Again, what business did he have being at Barcelona in the first place? So we've cleared a lot of players out. It's generated £49.5 million in transfer budget, but that doesn't necessarily tell the full story. It's also created a lot of spare wage budget. Dembele on his own was earning, I think, £375,000 a week. Now we are paying a little, we're still paying £89,000 for the next year towards his contract. Now he's back in France, but we're saving nearly £300,000 a week on just having him off the books. So that makes a significant difference. Kessie was on around about 200,000. I think that's close to £500,000 saved just on those 2. Plus all these youngsters were all on 20, 30, 40, up to 50,000, some of them, pounds a week. So all in all, with the players that have left the club, as well as bringing in £50 million of transfer money, we've freed up over £1 million a week in wage budget, which is why we've got such a huge wage budget available to us as well. And then we've reinvested that money. We're starting to plug some of the gaps in the squad. So we've got this guy. He was my first signing, a wonder kid midfielder. I know what you're saying. We don't really need midfielders. We've already identified. We've got De Jong, Gavi and Pedri. But that's why we went for a wonder kid as a backup midfielder. We've let Kessie go and we've let a couple of other midfielders go. So we wanted someone who can play in the roles we're going to be using in our midfield. So defensive midfield, central midfield, doesn't expect to play straight away, but could end up being really good. So that's where Tahir Temel comes in. He's 20 years old. He's a Belgian full international already. He's got 2.5 stars of current ability, 4.5 star potential. He's been playing for Genk for the last 3 years fairly regularly, 68 league appearances for them already. Like I say, those 2 international caps as well. So he has come in as a first reserve for all of those central midfield positions. This one will seem a little bit weird. I was starting to panic because we weren't getting any scout reports in, and this guy came up. I was going to buy him, but West Ham wanted so much money that I thought, let's just loan him and have him in as a backup right back. We're probably never going to use him, but it's a cheap squad filling option. And he might end up great, and we might end up buying him. We have got a future fee of £78 million, which we're obviously not going to pay, but we're paying next to nothing to have him in on loan for the year. So we just got him in on loan for the year. This guy's a bit more like it. Angel Lazarov is a 23-year-old centre-back, Bulgarian international, 34 caps for Bulgaria already, and a fantastic head of hair on him. 6'2", pacey, strong, good in the air centre-back, like the prototype perfect centre-back. 3-star current ability, 4-star potential, came in from Liverpool, and he was a regular starter for Liverpool for the last 3 years in the Premier League. I think that's a fantastic addition to what was already a couple of good centre-backs that we had, and now we've just got an extra one to throw into the mix. Of course, Dennis Simon we're already familiar with from Preston. I did look at Blanco. Blanco probably would have been my preference, but Preston wanted over £100 million for Blanco, whereas we could pick Simon up for 38 million, which is just a tiny amount more than we paid for him last summer at Preston. So still arguably a bit of a bargain. He's 24, 6 caps for Germany. Not showing as having any potential, but was happy to come in as backup, even though he's going to be my first choice, which is the opposite of what happened at Preston last summer. And he is better than anyone else we currently had who could play in goal. Goalkeeper was a big weakness, and goalkeepers are hard to come by. And then the most recent one who's just come in, Julio Aspas, is a 22-year-old Spanish striker. He has been at West Ham for the last couple of years, got 17 Premier League goals for West Ham last year. But young, Spanish, quick, like complete forward kind of material, should be a good finisher, good goal scorer. We identified that if we're going to play this 4-3-3, we probably needed a proper centre forward, so we could have Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati out wide either side of a proper centre forward, and Julio Aspas is our new number 9, our proper centre forward, who's going to come in and fill that role. So we've still got money to spend. There's still time left before the window closes, and this is what our squad is currently looking like. So there's still some definite gaps in the squad that we would like to fill. I'm not too worried about in goal. Simon is a 3-star goalkeeper. It should be plenty good enough. I can't imagine that he's going to be problematic. We've got Aspas as a starting striker, and then Torres and Fati as the 2 wide players. Baldi will probably be in at left back. Gavi, Pedri, De Jong, we know they're our midfield 3, and we've got the young Belgian midfielder to come in as backup for them. And then we've got Araujo and Lazarov to play centre-back. Koundé can play there if need be, but we'll probably play at right-back so we don't have to play Taylor Bullitt, who can then be our backup on that side. So a few areas we'd still like to strengthen. We could probably do with one more midfielder. We could probably do with another striker, because if Aspas doesn't hit the ground running, we don't really have another out-and-out striker. It would mean moving Torres or Fati up front and then moving someone else out to play in these wide areas. Now we've lost Dembele. We could probably use another winger in the squad as well. So there's a few areas we would like to still bring in players, and still plenty of time to do it. We've got a squad of 21 as it stands at the moment. If we can get that up to 24, 25, that would be the ideal. But like I say, pretty happy with what we've got at the moment. And this is the team that we're going to be putting out there for the game against Real Madrid. If you watched my How I Create a Tactic at a New Club video that came out yesterday, you will be pretty familiar with this as a setup. It's basically the tactic that we put together in that video, just with a few extra players, plugging some of the gaps that we had in that team. So we're going to go with Simon in goal, playing as a sweeper keeper, a back four of Balde, Araujo, Lazarov, and Koundé, which to me seems like a very strong back four. The biggest risk from my point of view is the midfield. There are 3 best players, but I've never played 3 playmakers together in a midfield before. I know the board want us to play fancy Barcelona football, and that definitely screams fancy Barcelona football. I do look at that and worry that there's not a ball winner. There's not a box-to-box midfielder in there. And I wonder if longer term we might drift more towards getting a box-to-box midfielder in here, maybe someone that we bring in as an additional signing now, and get maybe Pedri into one of the wide areas, push him a little bit further forward, or I don't know, maybe move De Jong on. De Jong is 33 years old. Maybe maybe we look to move on De Jong and replace him with a more mobile midfielder, perhaps drop Gavi back to play as the deep line playmaker. It's something I did with him in my network game save with Everton last year. Played Gavi and Gravenberch together as a midfield two, a double pivot, if you will, with Gavi as the more defensive of the two, and it worked really well in that save. So I know Gavi and Pedri can both be very versatile, but for now, we're going with this: De Jong, Pedri, and Gavi, and then Torres on the left, Fati on the right, and new boy Aspas up front. It is it's a risk going into this first game of the season against our biggest rivals, Real Madrid. It's not ideal. It's a tactic I've never used before. The media think that Real Madrid are going to win the league. We're second favourites. And we have got more players than them in the Dream 11. We've got Balde, De Jong, Araujo, Gavi, and Pedri all in the Dream 11. Pedri and Gavi are considered the two best players in La Liga. So it really is all about getting the best out of these two homegrown boys in central midfield. I realise Pedri didn't come through the Barcelona. I know that. He's still homegrown at club, isn't he? He is. He is. Let's just check. He is still homegrown at club. I knew he was. Right, let's submit the team, shall we? And see what happens. This could be a disaster. I am very afraid going with a tiki-taka, going with three playmakers for such an important game. I would have much rather, as I'm sure any manager would, eased themselves in with a slightly more, I mean, the word I'm looking for is easy. A slightly easier first game than Real Madrid in such a massive match. I mean, look at that for a Real Madrid team. They've certainly got the mobility in their central midfield that we might not necessarily have. I mean, if they want to swap one of theirs for one of ours, I'd take any of those three just to come in and offer something a little bit different to the three that we've got, who are all fairly similar. And I would argue they're all fairly similar as well. I mean, I imagine Barcelona and Real Madrid fans are all going to be very cross at me now. I'll take Camavinga for De Jong, obviously, because De Jong's 33. But we'll see. It's been a nothing first half. Absolutely nothing has happened. Not a single highlight. The Barcelona fans will be absolutely over the moon with this. Right, we finally get a highlight. It's De Jong playing out to Balde on this left-hand side, and now Ferran Torres trying to slot it through to Gavi, who bursts out of midfield, gets the other side of Eder Militao, forces the save, and that's the first big chance of the game, and we've got a corner. And remember, one of the things the board want us to do is maximise our opportunities from set pieces. Gavi with the corner, looking for Araujo at the far post. It's Ansu Fati who comes away with it, and he plays it back to new boy Lazarov with the fantastic hair, and De Jong with the shot. And Torres, he's not going to keep that in, but we do have another corner. Let's have another crack at this. I'd be aiming at Lazarov rather than Araujo. Lazarov is a big, strong boy. He's lurking at the near post now. There is Araujo. But his header, he can't keep it down. But we are knocking on the door at the start of this second half. We've come out looking like a team that are actually going to try now after nothing at all happened in that first half. But now 5 minutes into the second half, it's Real Madrid who have the ball and are on the attack. And if we could take that back off of them, that would be really quite super. But they've got him behind our left back here, and Dennis Simon in his first time on camera in a Barcelona shirt makes himself very big and makes the save. That's good work from Simon. And it's a corner now for Real Madrid, and Tchouameni with the header that doesn't really direct itself goalwards. It remains 0-0. We're both getting some chances now as we're into this second half. I'm going to offer some encouragement and hope that we can conjure something up from somewhere. We've not seen anything from Aspas up front, and I am a little bit nervy that our bench is very, very light. We've gone out and got a couple of first-team players, but once you get beyond the first-teamers, we are very, very light on players when we look at this bench. Aspas hasn't really passed the audition so far. The only player we've got on the bench who can play centre forward is Fortunato Diaz, who is really a midfield player. So, do we stick Fati up front? And then we've got Ezequiel Zeballos, who can come on and play on the wing. I think that's what we're going to do. And we're going to try and do something a little bit different. So maybe do that. Play him as that. And perhaps get him trying to cut inside a little bit more and be more of a goal threat. Maybe we need to play with the inside forwards, or one inside forward rather than two inverted wingers. Oyhan Sunset. Is he any good? I mean, he might be. Let's get him on because we're taking off Pedri here. He's also not had the best of games so far. And I think what we might do... See, even he's not really a box-to-box midfielder, is he? I would feel a lot better if we did that, I think. Just in general. It's not something I'm going to ask Pedri to do, I don't think. Because I have to call Pedri sir and do what he wants because he's the best player in the league. I think the team might be better balanced with a box-to-box midfielder in there. And... we'll leave it at that with 2 substitutions for now. We don't want to go crazy because it's the first game of the season. It's Real Madrid, and we just don't have much of a bench. Every substitution we make is going to be weakening this team, and we have to be aware of that. But hopefully, Fati can give us something a little bit different, playing in that advanced forward role. Zeballos on this left-hand side does well to get past his man. Can he drill it across goal? He's done well to keep hold of it there, and Sunset bursting out of the midfield. I tell you what, boys and girls, it's the 2 substitutions. Come on now. Tactical masterclass from the new Barcelona manager. Oh, I mean, you can hear my name. They're chanting it around the ground. 3 minutes in to the tactical substitution masterclass, and Sunset bursts out of central midfield where he's playing in that box-to-box midfield role, and we take the lead. That is quite an important goal when it comes to me getting any time to settle into this job, because I'm very aware these first 3 matches are all very challenging. If we come out of these without any kind of results, I'm going to have a problem. And they've gone straight up the other end, and Camavinga has scored with, I mean, it's literally the next kick. They've come straight from kickoff, come down this left-hand side of ours where Balde does push forward and potentially get out of position a little bit. And they've just danced around our defenders if they're not there. And Camavinga bursting out of midfield for Real Madrid, similar to what Sunset did to us. And it's back level again. And I imagine Madrid will be happier than we are with a 1-1 here. Let's get new boy Tahir Temel on, who can play on that right-hand side. So Torres is tired. Temel can come on and play there. We're going to make him an inverted winger. And we'll perhaps make him the inside forward to try and get up there and support Fati a little bit. Balde is on a yellow card. Is Victor Christensen any good? He's 27. He's not disastrous, actually, so we can probably make that change as well. And I don't think there's anyone else who necessarily... I mean, we could bring Bullet on just to bring him on. We might as well. There you go. He's one of my boys. He knows how to play my way. We'll get him on as the 5th change. And we will hope that somebody can do something. I certainly don't feel like we've mastered the chance creation attacking side of things with the team set up the way it is at the moment. That was very tame going forward. And I guess we just have to be thankful that we didn't lose. But yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more than that, really. The plan from here, because the transfer window closes before the next game against Atletico, I think we're now going to jump forward in time to deadline day. Obviously, if I do any transfers before then, I'll show you them. And then we'll do deadline day to finish off today's episode and come back tomorrow for Atletico Madrid and Athletic Bilbao to finish off this nightmare start to life in Barcelona. Well, as I'm sure you've all told me down in the comments section by now, I can't read. I'm an idiot. It's not the deadline now. It's the deadline day recruitment meeting. I didn't read all the words. Deadline is the same as what it normally is. So that's fine. What are they telling me to do? Why has Ferran Torres not got a contract? That's probably something that we need to fix. Let's do that after this meeting. Yes, we'll reduce his asking price. That's fine. What have you got for me in the terms of recommendations? We don't need a goalkeeper. We need players. We'll have a proper nose through all this and try and find ourselves some players. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have some more signings, because we've got a week and we've still got 62 million and very much still some gaps in the squad. We need some more attacking options, as we saw against Real Madrid. I need to get my thinking cap on, and also my trying to beat Atletico Madrid cap on, which will be for tomorrow as well. But hopefully you have enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.